This doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make sense?
I keep doing the math for us to make the playoffs, but it can't be right.
Why not?
Well, it says at our current pace, we won't make it.
Correct.
What do you mean?
Correct. If you continue at this pace, you won't make the playoffs.
What do you mean?
I mean, you won't have enough points to make the postseason.
But I've played all these hockey games.
Right.
So then we play in the playoffs.
No, you don't.
What do you mean?
I mean, you won't win enough games to keep playing at season's end.
We're a playoff team.
You aren't.
What do you mean?
Look, you process this however you need to.
We play through the regular season, and then we go to the playoffs.
Not this year.
The Boston Bruins belong in the playoffs.
You aren't good enough to be a playoff team.
Why?
I don't know. It's just the way it is.
What do you mean? Low quality fans! Not great, honestly, but it's important. So you blew another third period lead when you need the points. You lost in regulation in both those games. But it's important to remember that my fantasy team is 14-3-0 and has scored 300 more points than the next closest team. Like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. And I know what you're thinking. As you sit there and go, yes, obviously that's more important to the Boston Bruins. Thank you, Loqual. I know what you're thinking. Hey, man, doesn't that just set you up for a soul-crushing loss in the first round? Yeah. But I'm going to enjoy it till I get there, so leave me alone. Man, I really just want to believe this team has something else. Right? Like, I want to believe that. So bad. And I'm gonna believe it because this season is this season. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that. There are so many pieces on this team. There really are. There's real pieces on this team. First of all, Pasternak's going nuclear. Dude's phenomenal. McAvoy looks great since his return from injury. I know there's a goal you're thinking of right now, but we're gonna get there. Swayman, I think, actually... I think the contract's going to work out in the long run. I know there's some games in here that aren't great. I know. But I do still believe in Swayman. I do. Geeky is a versatile forward that you want to keep around. Zaka, same thing. Patra, I like, and I think he's really going to be something. There's pieces. I still hate the Lindholm contract. I still hate the Zadorov contract. I'm aware that we're still missing Hampus Lindholm, but you can't look at this season and go, Hampus fixes all of this, right? There's a lot about the team that I'm still sitting there going, there's pieces. It needs a lot of work, but there are pieces. It's just going to take some time for that to reestablish itself, clearly. This team's not done this year, obviously. We are on a 2-week break. The league returns on the 22nd. The trade deadline's the 7th. We're going to do an all-day live stream on the 7th. This team's not out of the race yet. The math is getting harder, but we'll talk about that. Let's talk about this Vegas team for a second. It's the first meeting of the year. They're 3-4-3 in their last 10, but that's really just a blip as they've been brilliant. They really have been. I underrated them. Going into the season, I thought the lack of talent on the wings would really hurt them. But the best 1, 2, 3 down the middle the league has to offer, yeah, that's going to cover up for a lot of things. The best 6-man defensive unit, or arguably the best 6-man defensive unit, will also do that for you. Stone and Barbashev have been really good when they've been available. Obviously, Barbashev's going through a scoring drought here. There's little moments like that. They're not like elite talents are going to go through droughts, but they've been good. And then, of course, the emergence of Dorofeyev. Although he had 20 goals last year, so emergence might not be totally fair, but Dorofeyev turning it up a notch has tremendously helped this team out. It's a huge boost for them. They have the 4th-ranked power play, the 21st-ranked penalty kill, 5th in goals scored per game, and 7th in goals allowed. And Carlson, their second-line center, is out with a lower body injury still. For the Bruins, the lineups will be Marchand, Lindholm, Coyle, Geeky, Zaka, Pasta, Frederick, Patra, Wallstrom, Kepke, Beecher, Kostelic, Lohrei, McAvoy, Callahan, Carlo, Zadorov, Peak, and then Swayman gets the net. Hampus, of course, still out. He won't appear until after the Four Nations, obviously, because this was the last game to jump in. Just a little check in to the rankings. And I actually thought the commentator said something that I agree with for once when it's a national broadcast in this one. That, like, you're not going to fix your numbers. You're 57 games into the season. Your season numbers, if they suck, they're going to suck the rest of the year. Don't worry about that. Worry about them improving in the meantime. That being said, let's look at the season numbers. 30th ranked power play, 22nd ranked penalty kill, 25th in goals for, 22nd in goals allowed. I mean, this team doesn't deserve to be in a playoff spot right now. Like, we can agree on that, right? It's not some act of God that they're sitting outside of the playoff picture currently. They haven't been great. They haven't been great. It's okay. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to break down the game, but the game notes, we're going to have a real conversation about some things, some math, and what we're looking at going forward. It's a little depressing. But it doesn't have to be. Also, not for nothing, if they do decide to sell at the deadline, just throwing this out there, the team just gets way more fun to watch because now you're not like hoping for them to make the playoffs. You're just kind of chilling and watching your favorite players and hoping for the best, but you aren't putting as much like emphasis on the winning aspect of it. We love to win, obviously, and you love to play spoiler when you can, but it's not the end-all be-all if the team's floundering after the deadline, if they do decide to sell. If they decide to buy, ramp that anxiety up to 11, baby! Let's do this! Puck drops. And basically, as soon as the game starts, Olofsson is going to take a shot to the neck and heads down the tunnel. He would not return. I really hope he's okay. That didn't look comfortable by any means. And so hopefully he's all good. 3:17 in. Basically the worst play I think I've ever seen Hanifin do at this point. Hanifin is behind his own goal line in the near corner, and he just passes the puck to Lindholm, like just gives it up in the offensive zone. Now, Lindholm is going to get closed on, unable to make a play with it. He's just going to send it back below the goal line, where Hanifin is, again, the first guy there. And Hanifin, again, is just going to give it away. This time he's just going to give it away to Zadorov up on the wall, and Zadorov's going to hammer this backdoor where Marchand's standing for a tap-in goal. And it's 1-0, less than 4 minutes into the game. It is the start that you really needed. And now Marchand has his 14th 20-goal season, tied second all-time in the Bruins franchise history. Bergeron also has 14, and Johnny Busick has 16. So, pretty good company right there. 7:39 in, a 2v1 sees a pasta pass hit Geekie tape to tape, and Geekie doesn't get great wood on it. Glove save, a crazy great glove save by Samsonov. I said it last video, and I'll say it again. God, Geekie's gone so cold. Timestamp this. Give me like 4 minutes. I'll get to where Geekie's not cold. 11 minutes left. Lindholm, standing alone in the slot. Coyle has the puck on the right wall, and he opts to take a really sharp angle shot. Now, what I'm about to say is clickbait, disingenuous nonsense. All right? I just want to preface that right now. Do not take this and run with it. But it was a thought that came to my mind that is completely unfair, but on this channel we share thoughts. We're thinkers and we're sayers. Has Coyle just lost faith in Lindholm so that he didn't give him the puck when he's dead center of the slot all alone? I know that's not true. Coyle probably didn't see him or was aiming for a different result, maybe a kick out into the slot, something like that, and missed shot. It was a fun thought for a second, because I've been struggling with Lindholm so much. Go look at his 5v5 points, like his even strength points of the season. It'll make you cry a little bit. I've been so down on Lindholm that I watched that and went, wow, the team's lost faith in him too. And immediately I had to fact check myself, because that's an idiotic thought, because, come on, what are we doing? These are professional hockey players. You don't give up that chance, regardless. And they're not looking at Elias Lindholm like he's some pylon, even though sometimes he might do pylon-esque things. We all do, though. Every single one of us. 6:36 left. Wallstrom and Kolesar have a little scrum. This all starts with Wallstrom basically hitting 3 knights at once. He just goes into a scrum and lays the body, and then everyone gets freaked out about it. There's a little fight. Kolesar technically wins it. Wallstrom falls on his butt and loses his balance. Not a great fight, honestly, but it's something. They are going to get fighting. Frederick and Dorofeyev are both going to get roughing. I believe we stayed 5-on-5 too. Maybe we did go. No, I think we stayed 5-on-5. Just everyone jumped to the box. 6:11 left. Coyle flings the puck on net from the right wall. For the next 15 seconds, I'm not exaggerating. You know how long 15 seconds is when you're staring at a situation like this. There are bodies and sticks and the damn puck flailing around in front of Samsonov. There is a brief respite as the puck is punched out to McAvoy, who quickly goes, no, I love this scenario, and hammers it right back into the crease front, where it continues for like 6 more seconds. So it's really like 8 seconds, quick break, back for more. And then it gets pushed out again to Zadorov, who goes, no, I agree with McAvoy. I think we like this, and hammers it back to the net front. This time, though, it gets through the sea of bodies and beats Samsonov, and it's 2-0. You have a 2-goal lead real early in this one. There's a lot of game left. You know what you shouldn't do is turtle. I genuinely don't know if this team turtled or if they just couldn't keep up. I think maybe a little column A, a little column B. It doesn't say anything great that I can't figure out which one it is, though, does it? 5:30 left. Beecher gets called for one hell of a phantom trip. I didn't see it. I don't get it. I don't like it. Bad calls happen. Kill the penalty. You're gonna be on the wrong end of a bad call sometimes. And of course, we're gonna suffer from this. But 3 goals happened in the first period. The 2 that Zadorov had a great assist on, Zadorov scored, and then Zadorov's gonna sort of assist again. Because Zadorov has the puck below our goal line, time and space. And he flings it chest level up the slot. Hurdle bats it down. Vegas stays in the zone. They're going to move the puck around, and then it's going to get to Theodore at the top of the slot, who's going to hammer this straight down Main Street. And of course, Mark Stone, untouched, gets the tip, and it beats Swayman. It's 2-1, power play goal for them. We still have a lead. 3:32 left. Carlo with a blatant interference. People saying like he ran into his arm. I watched Carlo like lift his arm up to create a little interference. He didn't mean to get the guy in the face. Either way, that's a blatant interference. They call it roughing. Don't really understand that call, but it's a penalty. All day it's a penalty. You had a 2-goal lead, phantom call, you don't love it, but then you take a super intentional penalty that's going to get called every single time if they see it. What an idiotic play that was. That was stupid. Well, we kill the penalty, though, and it's a huge kill, because coming out of this tied would have been rough. Second period starts. 5:24 in. Dorfe off for tripping. We'll go to the power play. No. It's our only power play of the game. 4:53 left of the period. Man, we just jumped a lot of time. The shots are 13-5 this period for Vegas. We have been caved in the whole time. The Bruins have spent the last 15 minutes getting demolished. But a dump in that's mishandled by Samsonov, who doesn't really fully leave his crease. He just tries to take a stick and, get in there. Bussa skates down and goes, lazy ass, lifts his stick, grabs the puck, chucks it up through the slot. There's Geeky. Cold Geeky. Frozen Geeky. Buries his 5-hole. No longer cold. He's hot as hell. And it's 3-1. You have a 2-goal lead again. You feel good about that. And you're on home ice. Which, does everyone understand why we're so much better on home ice? Like, there's a reason for it. I think people are underrating what the second change does for a team that has a superstar on it. Because second change means you do get to get him in the positions that you want him in. And you do get to get your team a real significant advantage when you know that a couple of your lines are going to get caved every night. But when you're away and you don't get that second change and the other team just gets to go like, no, we will always have your best line against our best defensive line. You will not be able to get them away from that. It makes a huge difference, is all I'm saying. We're going to move on in this period. 34 seconds left of the period. Correct me if I'm wrong, goalie friends. There's some goalie friends who watch this channel. I would love your input here, because I would love to know that I'm wrong about this. I would love to be wrong about this. But this is a brutal goal to allow. This is brutal. Now look, Zadorov is weak on the entrance. He gives up the line way too easily. There's other things to point out. But a shot from White Cloud, from distance, looks like, initially, Swayman catches it in the glove. But then it slips out of the glove, I guess, and under him, and into the net. I mean, this is weak. This is weak as it comes. And I would love for someone to be like, actually, what you didn't see there, Swayman's not to blame because of. I'd love that. Please, give me a little copium here. But right now, that looks like a total softie. An absolute softie. To allow this team, after they dominated this whole period, but still somehow fell farther behind, to get back within one and shift this game completely. Vegas outshot Boston 17-6 in the second. That one goal, you heard me earlier. What time was it I said that? Yeah, 4:53 left. Shots are 13-5 this period for Vegas. So In the last 453, that goal shot was the one shot we had. Not great. Vegas was all over us, and they just got a freebie. 4:54 into the third. Initially, I thought this was McAvoy's fault, but the more I watched it, the more I thought it was Wahlstrom. Wahlstrom gets deked silly in the neutral zone. Eichel goes right by him. And then Eichel, from the right side of the neutral zone, skates all the way to the left side and gets right in front of McAvoy as he enters the defensive zone. We've talked about meeting people at the line, not allowing easy entrances. Yes, McAvoy, get him. Absolutely pin him off. You have the wall to utilize. Make sure that he has only one way to go with that puck. Wahlstrom was so embarrassed by getting his pants pulled down at neutral ice, he skates all the way across and follows and helps McAvoy, who did not need help here, meaning Theodore, who's skating right next to Eichel, just gets a freebie. And the pass is made. Theodore gets to walk in. Now, of course, Zacha, Lohrei, and Frederick, I believe, is on the ice. All have to react to the 4-on-3, and all of them do. They all turn their heads. They all look that direction. There's a backdoor, not a backdoor. There's an across slot pass to Dorofeyev, who's wide open. Pass is made. He beats Swayman easy. 3-3. We're in a tie game. I mean, these mistakes, man. And I know last game I was like, I don't know, last game or 2 games? I think it was last game. That I was like, I don't know why you break up that Frederick, Poitras, Wahlstrom line, right? I mean, they were playing really, really well. I don't know why you would suddenly take Wahlstrom out and then put Brazeau in. And now they recovered that line and it got caved all night. So, like, what? I'm just a flip-flopper at this point? It's a confusing situation. But I don't really like Wahlstrom, and I haven't liked him the whole time. And even when those lines were playing well, it was mostly because Poitras and Frederick were creating stuff. I would really love to not have Wahlstrom in there. Brazeau's not really my guy either. I like having him on the team. But I really feel like a Lysella or a Merkulov would be nicer, skill-wise, on that line. Tough defensively, though, so I understand the argument against it. Either way, that's just a freebie to give up. It's a tie game, and all the vibes are dead. But that's okay, because 9:43 left. A Zadorov blast off a face-off win gives the Bees the lead. Samsonov beat Low Glove. Problem is, Marchand went to the net front and backed into the blue paint and made contact with Samsonov. Now, 2 things can be true here. 1, Samsonov dove. I mean, he acted like a sledgehammer just hit him right in the nuts when Marchand came through. In the nuts and in the head at the same time. The head. Not the head. The head. So, yes, that was a dive. That was a flop. That was embellishment. That's also contact in the blue paint right as a shot went by a goaltender. That's always going to get called goaltender interference. That is not a phantom call. It's not even that bad of a call. I could definitely see them being like, hey, that's a flop. We're calling that a goal because that's embellishment. They didn't do that, and there's not really any precedent for that because refs never really do that. But contact in the blue paint is contact in the blue paint. Am I really mad at Marchand for this? No, not really. He was just trying to get position in, and he skated probably an inch too far. But the goal is waived because of goaltender interference. 3:10 left. Zacha goes for slashing. We're going to the penalty kill. I mean, this team loves to put itself in a bad situation. They just love it. The Bruins are scrambling during this penalty kill. Carlo manages to collect the puck on the near wall. Time and space. Fails to clear it. Off the wall, knocked down, fails to clear it. I mean, it's just self-inflicted stuff. It really is. It hasn't been bounces, the universe. It's self-inflicted. Over and over again. Vegas gets set back up. Beecher doesn't have a stick this time as it broke during the play. The puck is moved down to Stone right next to Sway, who tries to go right into the crease and dunk it. Puck gets pushed off his stick to Dorofeyev again. Below that right circle, he's going to bury this. Here's the fun part. The Bruins challenge, right? You got nothing to lose, and Stone made contact with Swayman. He made contact with Swayman when the puck was off his stick in the blue paint. That is contact in the blue paint, which is goaltender interference. Yes, we're learning. I've always felt that I have a very great handle on what goaltender interference is. I really do. I've read the rule, and I'm like a 92% accuracy when I'm predicting these. I feel really good about it. Contact in the blue paint is contact in the blue paint. It almost always waives the goal unless it's a very particular set of circumstances, usually having to do with the person making contact in the blue paint having the puck already on the stick. Anyway, so successful challenge does not matter because there's still 30-something seconds left of the penalty kill. Vegas goes right back into the zone. Hurdle in the slot, untouched, gets a pass and hammers this Low Glove. It beats Swayman. There's going to be an empty netter at some point to make it 5-3. Pasternak's going to be in the box after he tries to prevent an empty netter. It's a whole thing, but we lost the game in regulation. A game that we led in the third period. I'm very bummed. I'm very, very disappointed. I think a lot of you guys are really disappointed too. I'm frustrated, and I want to see this team have another level. Let's do game notes about this game, right? The one specifically directed to this game. The Bruins had 7 shots on goal in the last 33 minutes against a team missing their second line setter and playing with 11 forwards due to an injury earlier in the game to one of their guys. Not an ideal situation. Sort of says something about the team. Swayman's oopsie-doopsie, we'll call it, is indicative of what the Bruins have been this year, right? They just can't stop shooting themselves in the foot. If you were to talk about one pivotal moment that lost us this game, that's it, right? It's Swayman letting in a huge softie. And again, if a goalie nerd wants to tell me I'm wrong about that, I'd love to hear it. But right now, the way I see it is that was a game-changing moment. There were a few of them, but that was a huge one. And it gave life to a team that was getting smacked around by Swayman. They were in our zone. They were creating, but Swayman wasn't letting anything go through. Swayman, if you take out like 2 of these goals, had a brilliant game. Really just take out the one. Most of these were backdoor, couldn't do anything about them. It's just that one goal. It just gave them life, and it was such a softie. And when you're already up against it like this, and when you're paid like he is, and you got to make that stop. That was brutal. And to have so many great moments in this game for Swayman, to then allow that, it sucks, man. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. But let's have the bigger conversation here. 16-6-3 is the new record version of a record that gets us to 95 points. And with some of with the way that some of the wild card teams are playing right now, that might not be enough. But the goal is 95 points. 16-6-3 is tough. 19 games you need points in 19 games. You need to win 16 of them out of 25. That's something that this Bruins team has not looked anywhere close to this year so far. It doesn't mean they can't do it. It's just really tough. We just threw away 2 games in which we had the lead going into the third period. This shit's grim right now, man. That's grim. The bigger question right now is, what does this tell the front office about this team? Now, we got 2 weeks off. Then we got about 2 weeks to the trade deadline. We've talked about there being a mini trade deadline before the deadline because of the Four Nations tournament. I don't know if Sweeney's making any moves before that, but does this result in a selling mindset? Not selling feels irresponsible. It does, right? I don't want to give up on the season. I want this team to make the playoffs, but it feels irresponsible to say, like, no, we'll make it work. Like, buying would be inconscionable, right? Like, you could not possibly give up future assets for this team right now. Like, you cannot do that. That would be bizarre, right? Am I crazy there? I mean, it's one thing to be like, hey, don't be negative. Don't give up on the season. I get that. Spending assets for the future to get help now on a team that is several pieces from competing with the upper echelon of the league, that would be downright unprofessional, right? So a selling mindset or a stand pat mindset, which stand pat doesn't make sense to me either. What does a selling mindset look like? Is this team willing to do it? Is Sweeney the right man for the job? We're not going to have a choice on that point. What I'm hearing is that Geeky, Carlo, and Frederick are garnering a lot of attention from around the league. Please don't hear that as big returns, because I don't think any of them carry a very hefty price tag, but they are the ones that seem to be getting the most attention based on different reports from various people. Marchand is not believed to be on the trade block by other teams. It seems that the Bruins aren't willing to move on from him, although teams are making calls about him, as they should, right? He's a top 6 left winger who's still got some in the tank. Might be cup chasing at this point. You don't know. So you're going to take calls on the guy, but if the Bruins decide not to move off him because he's a franchise legend, sure, I get it. Is it the right decision? I don't know. That's not my job to know, right? But it's tough. These are the business decisions that you have to think about. Like, it can't all be hearts and feelings and everything like this. This is the tough part. It's fun when you're winning because you get to bring more in. There's not a lot of like, oh, we're sacrificing these guys that we really like. It's bring them in. When you're not winning, man, it really sucks. You got to make really hard decisions. And you just can't get your feelings in with all of it. Seeing Carlo's name on the trade rumors, that sucks for me. I'm a huge Carlo guy. And yes, he's having an awful season. But I'm a big Carlo guy. And I would love to see him stick around. And I think he's a great player who's having a down year. He also might actually command the biggest return. You know? There has to be real conversations there. We don't have a lot of defensemen that seem ready for that next step on that right side especially. So moving off of him does kind of speak to a larger picture kind of thing. That maybe it's going to be multiple years till we really feel confident. But those are the names I'm hearing. I am hearing that Marchand's not actively being shopped by the Bruins, although teams are calling about him. I think this team does need to recognize that selling is the appropriate response. But buying is my biggest fear. Buying, unless there's a guy that you're like, holy crap, you're giving him up for this and he gets to stay on the team for the next 4 years and he's going to help us? Absolutely. Like if Tuck was available, right, I would go for him from Buffalo. There's a lot of nuance to this one. And I really urge everyone to kind of take a step back and look at what's realistic. Someone was talking about how the only return I'm looking for Marchand is like a top 6 young center. That's not happening. There's no team is willing to part with that for Brad Marchand. It's just not going to happen. So we got to keep it realistic, right? With that being said, feel free to put a bunch of trades down below, and I will let you know if it's realistic in my mind. I'm not the end-all be-all on this stuff, but, you know, we got to have a fun conversation about it. Just don't get mad at me if I say, like, I don't think that's realistic. All right. I'm sorry for taking so much of your time. I'm sorry that the Bruins keep doing this to us. But I'm there with you. Go Bees. Go Bees! And now it's time to say thank you to the high-quality inspectors. I appreciate each and every one of you. There's over 100 of you at this point. And I love doing these thank yous at the end, but I think we're reaching such a volume that I have to rethink this strategy because you're all so incredible and so supportive. But this is getting really long, and there's got to be a better way, right? But let's start the thank yous, of course, with the top line tier. Dampen, Chris and Erica, Negev79, Trial Exotic, Jeff McGugan, Quackin' Platypus, Andrew Peterson, Sean Kreider, JM, Zenon Noel DeGuy, Donald Shelton, Kevin Timperley, Anakin Palpatine, The Rat 63, Lola Cattingsworth, EKM Productions, Moonlighter TV, Big Bad Bruin, The Bugman, Adam Ella, Jeff with a G, Tommy Braga, Roland 22, GD Viperworks, Len Cruz, Brock Nope, Michael Kemmerer, Han Slomo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Brett Arney, Pincent, and Nick Zatrullo. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. You're absolute legends of this channel, and you're very appreciated. And now, of course, to our all-star tier members. Lorenzo Wood, Jake Brower, Penny Pasta, Levi Catalani, Boston Stringler, Bagel, JG's 12, Mark S., Jacob Pratt, Nightmare Eco, John Kirk, Ann Hustis, Joel, Heil E. Coyote, Darren Woodbury, Abraxion, Michael DePaulo, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adrian Winter, Tupton D. Tashi, Bruin Smash, DeKingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Dutes 42, and Jeremy. Absolute stallions, every single one. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being a part of the channel. I cannot express my gratitude. Go Bees.